What is up, my Pika crew? This is the ThePikaWu, and welcome to another X and Y Wi-Fi battle. This one's going to be against a guy called Vaporeon 1, and this was a really awesome match, so I hope you guys enjoy. Now, looking at the team analysis and looking at the matchup advantage, I definitely have the matchup advantage here. This is because most of his Pokemon, well, at least his offensive Pokemon, don't appear as too threatening, because his Volcarona and his Haxorus won't be able to sweep my team since I have a lot of priority on my team. I've got Quick Attack on my Diggersby, and I've got Fake Out on my Mineshaw, plus I've got a Choice Scarf Greninja, so Volcarona and Haxorus have to get to +2 speed in order to outspeed me, so they don't really pose as too big of a threat. Now, the Porygon Z, if it is a Choice Scarf set, can be pretty threatening because with that adaptability Tri-Attack, it can deal a lot of damage against my team. However, if you look at my end, I've got a lot of threatening Pokemon that can deal a ton of damage against my opponent's team. My Diggersby and my Mineshaw can actually 2-hit KO all of the opponent's defensive Pokemon, the Gastrodon, the Blissey, and the Klefki, barring the Klefki doesn't set up a Reflect or something. Now, looking at the typing weakness, both of our teams are weak to ground and fighting, and my opponent's kind of weak to Psychic. Now, his weaknesses actually matter a lot since he has a relatively slow team, so more of a bulky offense team, while I have a more hyper-offensive team, so weaknesses don't matter too much for me because I have a relatively hit-and-run, very fast team. Again, his team doesn't really have that much synergy in terms of defensive capabilities, so with my offensive Pokemon, hopefully I'll be able to power through, maintain a relatively offensive strategy, and be able to clinch the match. So I hope you guys enjoy. So I'm going to lead off with a Gigalith as my opponent's going to lead off with the Haxorus. Now, Haxorus is a really good lead for me because I can take 2 hits with Sturdy ability, enables me to get up Stealth Rock's first turn, and the rocks are going to be there for the whole game because he doesn't have a spinner, and it's really going to help out against his Volcarona. Plus, if he wants to set up early with Dragon Dance or Swords Dance, I've got the Sturdy ability and the normal Gem Explosion, so I have the possibility to take out the Haxorus and set up Stealth Rocks. But he is going to go for the smart play, go for 2 Earthquakes and take me out. If I were him, I would have led off with Klefki because it could survive actually 3 Earthquakes from this Gigalith, and it can set up all 3 layers of spikes, which would really help him out in the long run if he got spikes up early. But because he led off with a more fragile Pokemon, and because you usually don't want to lose an offensive Pokemon early on, I'm going to take advantage of this by baiting him. First by bringing in my Alakazam, knowing that he's going to switch into the Blissey to take any special hit, so then I can pull a double. And this allows me to maintain control of the match, because when I bring out Mineshaw, something is going to die on my opponent's team, because he doesn't have any good fighting resists. The only fighting resist he has is the Volcarona, which doesn't really have great defense, and with the Stealth Rocks, it's going to be a easy KO. So he is going to go for the Volcarona switch in, and it's not going to survive the high jump kick, and 1 sweeper is already down. However, he is going to pull the 30% flame body, and he is going to burn me, which is very unfortunate because I don't have a Heal Beller or a Pokemon with aromatherapy, so my Mineshaw is going to be crippled for the whole match, and that is really bad because it would have been able to have done a lot of damage against my opponent's team, but now his Gastrodon and his Klefki should be able to deal with my Mineshaw decently. I still have somewhat of a use with Mineshaw, not just as death fodder because he still has a Blissey, and I'm pretty sure a burned high jump kick should still do a lot of damage against the Blissey. But for now, both of us have Klefkis out, and Klefki, we're just basically going to exchange spikes, and this is actually going to help me out more than him because I have a lot of fast offensive Pokemon that can take advantage of this extra damage and get some key KOs, while he doesn't really have that many fast Pokemon, maybe the potential Choice Scarf Porygon Z. But finally, he is going to switch into the Gastrodon, and Gastrodon poses a pretty big threat because even though it may be invested in HP and in bulk, it could still do a decent amount of damage, especially with Earth Power, because I am not invested in special defense. So I'm just going to bring in my Mineshaw, mainly because it can take any hit, it has the Regenerator ability, and it's kind of disposable because it's already crippled. I didn't really want anything else burned in case he wanted to go for the Scald predicting the switch, which he ends up doing. So that's why it ended up being a decent move, I guess, on my part. So this U-turn play was actually a pretty big misplay on my part, because what I should have done was actually go for the high jump kick, get a lot of damage going on, and then let my Mineshadow die so I can bring in a Pokemon freely. But because that didn't happen, and he didn't switch out as I went for the U-turn, something's going to get hit with the Scald or an Earth Power. And I do decide to bring in Greninja because it does resist the Scald. But this was a pretty risky play, because if he burned my Greninja or if he went for the Earth Power, that would seriously limit Greninja, since with spikes in play, I won't be able to U-turn as much, and I'd be more hesitant to go for the U-turn and get that switch initiative. So that was pretty risky and a big misplay on my part, but because it's Greninja versus Gastrodon, I know he's going to switch because I can bluff the Grass Knot or the Hidden Powered Grass, and I can go for the U-turn, and I hit this Haxorus with a decent amount of damage. Plus, U-turn still provides a sense of mystery. It doesn't reveal anything about my moveset, and I could still carry Hidden Powered Grass, which I don't, but my opponent doesn't know that, so I can continuously bluff the Grass Knot in the future. So now I bring in my Mineshadow, not really sure why, I just go for the Fake Out so he doesn't set up on me, and then I am just going to die to Life Orb and Burn Recoil. So this is where I realized that, you know, having Mineshadow in the game is still pretty useless, and I really should have let it die against the Gastrodon. I had a couple of options there. I actually could have brought my Alakazam instead of my Mineshadow, and I still could have Mineshadow for Death Fodder, but I didn't want to play that stalemate game where it's Alakazam versus Blissey, because he still has Blissey in play, which completely walls my Alakazam. But now I'm just going to Revenge Kill with Greninja, just go for the U-turn and take down the Haxorus. So both of his setup Pokemon, his Volcarona and his Haxorus, are taken down, so really the only thing that threatens me is going to be that Porygon Z. Once I take that down, the rest of his Pokemon are defensive Pokemon that really can't do much damage against my team, and the match would be mine. So I am going to bring in Alakazam on the U-turn because it has the Magic Guard ability and it's not going to get hurt by spikes. So it's the best thing to bring in if he gets the Swish initiative. Since Blissey walls my Alakazam, I'm forced to switch into something. I don't really want to bring in an offensive Pokemon like my Diggersby because I want to maintain Diggersby at a good amount of health for the rest of his other Pokemon. So I do decide to bring in my Klefki, and he actually has the Flamethrower. Usually Blisseys don't pack any attacking moves except for Seismic Toss, but this one is an exception. I guess it makes sense because in Standard there are Ferrothorns and other Steel types that, you know, get kind of hurt by Fire type moves. So that Flamethrower actually helps him out a lot because he gets a critical hit and it's going to be a solid 2-hit KO afterwards. So what I do is I do decide to fodder my Klefki because there's really no point since it's already hurt. And I do just set up my last layer of spikes. But what this enables him is it just made his Porygon Z a lot more threatening because the rest of my Pokemon are offensive Pokemon. So if he brings in Porygon Z against my Diggersby, then I'm pretty much forced to lose a Pokemon. So right here, I have to go for the Earthquake because like I said in the team preview, he really has nothing to take a Diggersby's Earthquake, and yeah, so that is very nice on my part. So now my opponent brings in the Gastrodon, and the way he brings it in against a Choice Banded Diggersby reveals that he is most likely a physically defensive set. Now with Spikes and Stealth Rocks damage, a Choice Banded Earthquake should still take out the Gastrodon, since Gastrodon doesn't really have the greatest base defense stat, and Diggersby is just really powerful. But I kind of underestimated Diggersby there, and I decided to bring in my Alakazam instead, because I wanted to hit him on the special side since he's not invested in special defense, and most likely invested in physical defense. So by hitting him with a Psychic, it'll definitely hurt a lot harder, and I thought it would have a better chance of taking out the Gastrodon in one shot. But unfortunately for me, he's actually going to live with a Slither health, and not only does he carry counter, he has Mirror Coat, so he is actually able to take down my Alakazam in one shot, and this is very, very scary because I only have 2 Pokemon left. Both of them are extremely frail, so Porygon Z just became a huge threat. In order to win, I have to bring in my Diggersby, and I have to sweep the rest of his team with Quick Attack. If his Porygon Z is able to live the Quick Attack, then he can basically sweep the rest of my team with Tri-Attack. Well, it'll be able to take down my Diggersby with Tri-Attack, and then I'll be walled by his Blissey, so then I'd lose. So it all comes down to this. Can I take him down? And I am able to take his Porygon Z down. Porygon Z has a decent amount of bulk, and Quick Attack's only 40 base power, but after the entry hazard damage, dang, that did a lot of damage, and that just clinched the win for me, and that was absolutely amazing. Diggersby is truly a powerhouse, and without Diggersby I would have lost the match, because if that did not KO, that match would have definitely been my opponent. So that's going to be the game. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys enjoyed, feel free to leave a like, and stay tuned for the comment question of the day. This is ThePikaWu. Thank you for watching my battle, and I'll see you guys later. Oh, and by the way, I do have a Facebook page and a Twitter page, and I do post these videos earlier on those pages, so be sure to check those out in the description below, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.